Right, season 2 of Inside has just finished. Yesterday, the final episode came out. We also got a reunion show, which is something we didn't get for season 1. And I quite like it. I love a reunion show. I also like it when reunion shows happen and there's actual drama. I hate it when people tease a reunion and there's nothing going on. So there is lots to talk about. I feel like maybe we should start from the beginning because I haven't actually reacted to any of the series in full yet. I just wanted to do like a full debrief at the end. So if you've not watched the full season of Inside, spoiler alert, because we're going to be talking obviously about who won, things that happened in the season. So head to Netflix and watch it if you haven't. Not an ad, just a disclaimer. Right, what are we saying? Okay, should we do favorite contestant first, or like first impressions of contestants? Because I feel like when people go in these reality shows for the first day, they're the sort of caricature or like someone that they're whoever they present themselves as, and then as time goes by, they kind of like the walls break down. I'm gonna say my favorite on first impression, I think it stayed the same throughout, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, my top contestant was Patrice Evra. Patrice Evra was my favorite contestant. I loved him. I was so upset when he got voted out. Obviously, I get the reasons why they voted him out, because if I was playing the game, you got to look at maybe people who need the prize money more. But Uncle P, Patrice Evra, I think it's just so bizarre and funny. The fact that he was even in the show in the first place is bizarre. And the fact that he went in there was just like, yeah, I don't want to be known for everything that I've achieved in my football career. I just want to be a YouTuber. It's like fair. One of my favorite parts, and I guess this is maybe just my immature humor, is during the task when they had to eat the stuff.
Guys, sorry.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
And suddenly, for no reason, I couldn't control my butt.
And he ate. What did he have to eat? And then afterwards, he just kept farting. And he was like, I'm sorry, my stomach was just talking. And I enjoyed his role in the house. Obviously, they're calling him Uncle P. I feel like he brought a different side to Inside that we hadn't seen before, which is obviously bringing an older person and him having that fatherly figure role, which is silly because he definitely is a bit immature at the same time. I'm just telling you now, if I ever went onto a show like Inside and someone gave me a fish smoothie, coming from someone who's probably one of the fussiest eaters ever, fish and seafood is on my nightmare list. If I had to drink that, or even if lifted the thing up and I saw the fish eye, it was Farah who had to drink it. Oh my gosh. No, it was the fish thing. No, it was Farah who drank the fish thing. I couldn't do it. Patrice was probably my top favorite. I really liked Sinner. I feel like she did really well. I liked that she got emotional about things. You could tell that she really felt bad about voting people out and certain things that happened in the house. Of course, I love George Clark as well. I think he came across really well. He's just super chill. He seemed super chill. And there was one particular point in the series which I think I liked him originally anyway, but when they'd voted Dylan out, which I think is, I don't understand, and then there might be more to the editing than we knew. But I don't really get why I don't think they had a problem with Dylan, but he obviously didn't fit in with the group because he went to bed early. Now, sometimes I want to go to bed early. I also think he might have been jet lagged, because even in the reunion, he was talking about like, I did quite well on the second night to make it to 8:30. I feel like he'd arrived and he was really jet lagged, and that's why he was going to bed early. And he even said, I think, to Patrice at one point, he's like, I'll get there eventually, just like give me a few days. So I think he had jet lag, not gonna lie. For whatever reason, he wasn't part of the group. And it was when Whitney had said, after Mandy had got voted out, I can't remember the exact thing that she said, but it was along the premise of just like, well, at least it wasn't Dylan, or something about Dylan. And then George was just like, why did you bring it up or say it that way? And I quite liked that. I don't think they fell out about it or really even had a disagreement. It was just like George calling Whitney up on, maybe we were all upset when we can all make jokes about Dylan leaving, but we can't make jokes about Mandy leaving. Like, they're two people at the end of the day. I also think, because I've seen someone ask, is there anyone I didn't like? I don't think there was people, I was going to say call them characters. There was contestants. There wasn't any insiders I didn't like. I think that's quite harsh stance to take. I do think that on the first day I would have found Farah really overwhelming, which from what we've seen, a lot of the insiders said that, but then she grew on them. I think that she maybe was nervous on the first day and that's why she was really loud. But I'd find that personally really overwhelming because I'm quiet, especially when I don't know people, I'm more quiet. But I think she seemed really nice like as the time went by, and obviously you could see more of her personality come out. The trio, who was it? PK was just a wind up. And when I'm watching shows like that, I get irritated at people who are a wind up, but I know it's for entertainment, so I'm just like, that's fine. I think if I was in the show, I would have got annoyed at people spending loads just because I'm quite linear. I don't know. I just feel like I think I'd spend on certain things, but if people are taking the piss, then I'd get annoyed. Yeah, so the trio of PK, who I think brought a lot to the show in terms of entertainment. I sometimes got wound up by him just for him spending and lying about it, but I think that's just me because I wouldn't do that. But I think that he actually made the show really entertaining. It was PK, Whitney, and Maya, like the trio, wasn't it? I think, and then Mandy a little bit before she left. I quite liked Maya. I was like impartial on her, I think. Yeah, I wouldn't say she was my favorite contestant, but I didn't not like her at all. So I think I was kind of like on the fence, impartial. Whitney, there are certain things that happened that I think, like with the Dylan thing, and if anyone's watched the reunion, I didn't like when she was laughing at Patrice for his accent, his English accent. I thought that made me uncomfortable. I didn't really like it. But at the same time, I saw her post on Instagram earlier, and she was saying sort of like, I brought entertainment to the show, which I agree with. She did make it entertaining, and I really disagree that she should be getting any sort of abuse, especially racial abuse. Like, there's not a place for that. So I think that people do need to remember that the show is entertainment. Yeah, I think with Whitney, I watched Love Island before, so I really liked her on Love Island. I think that because Inside's just a different type of show, there are certain things that I wasn't the biggest fan of, but I think in general, I just know that it's an entertainment show, and she brought entertainment to it. So but I didn't like the laughing thing in the reunion. You'd probably spend money on getting meal upgrades on sweets. That's it. That's what I was thinking earlier. If I was an Inside, what would I spend the money on? It would be meal upgrades. Because I can't do with eating the plain rice. I'd have to get meal upgrades. I think crisps, sweets, and fizzy drinks, and maybe teas. Also, maybe I would spend a lot of money. I would also be lured in by the things like 20 minutes with a puppy, what was the foam guns that they had, the Nerf guns, the horny devil, like things like that I'd fall for. I always wonder what would they tempt me with? What would my temptation be if I was on Inside? For context, back in September, I had to give up sweets, and people say, oh, don't do it to yourself. Like, why have you just gone cold turkey? Because for me, sweets is like crack. I honestly, I had withdrawal symptoms for about 3 weeks, and I still, even now, I'll see the mini eggs. Yesterday, I walked past one of those old school sweet shops, you know, where they have the jars and they have to they weigh them and you pay for them by a quarter pound or whatever. That's my weakness. DDG, I think that no one should have trusted that whole time. Obviously, if you were in there with him and not a viewer, he may have seemed more genuine, but obviously from a viewer perspective, I just thought he knows the game. He's going to play the game. Right. Final. Those games stress me out. I really liked the Spill the Tea one. I think they should bring that back whenever they do season 3 or this US season that they're going to do. I enjoyed Spill the Tea. I like seeing people get exposed. The one where it was the pyramid scheme, I was just imagining if I was in that position, especially George. Like, George had a really hard time in that thing. I think I was trying to imagine, would I be better like the one to open the pyramid and try and lie or tell the truth? Or would I be worse being the person that obviously has to guess? I would be so bad at that. I'd really get stressed doing it. But George did really well. I think that he just got really unlucky. Sinner got lucky on that first one. She was like, yep, I'm out. I'm into the final. So the finalists, again, spoiler, or the winners, shall we say, were Sinner, which I loved Sinner. PK Humble, which I think he brought so much entertainment to the house, so well deserved, and Maya. So Sinner, PK, and Maya, and they all split it. When I was watching that, I just always want someone to steal. In Love Island, in Inside, any reality show, I need a villain to stand there and steal the money, and it's still not happened. I really, in my head, thought there was a possible chance that PK might steal it. That would have been the ultimate villain. He would have been the ultimate villain if he'd stolen that. I think that him and Specs are really good friends, right? So Specs was in season 1. Specs was also a massive wind-up. In season 1, there was Castillo, he was the ultimate wind-up, but Specs was low-key, like, taking the piss out of everyone, just spending loads of money on sweets. I reckon Specs was like, PK, go in and just like wind everyone up, be on a wind up. But then at the end of the day, when it comes down to something like that, and you're all basically, they all got £97,000 each. He's a human at the end of the day, and I think that he probably would have felt so guilty just walking away and taking like 290 something thousand pounds. It all worked out in the end, didn't it? Castillo would have stolen that money, would have taken it all home, wouldn't he? Specs told him not to spend money. PK talked about it on Toby. Wait, why did Specs tell PK not to spend money? Specs was in there getting a packet of Haribo multiple times a day. Wasn't there one occasion where someone had bought 5 packs of Haribo and then was just like hiding them in people's lockers to make it look like they'd bought the Haribo? I wrote some notes earlier because I want to make sure that I'm covering sort of like all the main things. Best contestant, I have Patrice. Spill the tea challenge. When George got found out, when George took his temptation, that whole sequence was pure mindfuck or mind games, because he went in, they said, you're going to lose 30 grand, but you're going to get immunity in the next vote. He said, no, I'm not doing that. Because I think initially, obviously he's a lovely person. Then even Vic was like, George, there's an envelope for you. It was a quote from another housemate saying, we should vote George out. So that's the second part of the mind game. Then he's like, no, I still don't want it. Mic drop. I'm leaving. Then the door's locked and Vic's like, no, you have to wait in here for another 15 or 20 minutes. That's when he's going to go sit in the corner and think about all the possible scenarios. It was the 20 minutes. They knew it. You can't just make your bed and lie in it and walk off like nothing happened. No, you're going to sit and think about this. If you actually want to get immunity. And lo and behold, eventually he took it. Sinner stealing would have been the ultimate heel turn. The devil incarnated. Yeah, Sinner stealing would have been the biggest plot twist, I think, in that series. I couldn't have seen it happening, but I saw as well Mandy and PK arguing in the reunion. I feel like that situation got way more airtime than it needed. Like they obviously should have just been squashed. I feel like it took up too much time with the reunion. I would have wanted other stuff in the reunion. Obviously we want the drama, but I feel like Mandy being voted out and calling PK a snake wasn't that big of a thing in the whole series. All in all, I did enjoy season 2. I'm really proud of the boys, the team, for like producing something like that and putting it on such a big platform like Netflix. So I think it's made a good blueprint for future Inside series.